You know, in raising my four kids, one of the things that I really focused on being a parent was leaving some anchors, some concrete foundations in their life that even if it was only through a phrase or two, they would always be able to hear those. Now, I've been more successful in that in the relationship with my sons than I have with my daughters, only because they're younger. I had more time with them as I grew up. What are some of the anchors that you're leaving in the lives of your children? What are some of the phrases that you're saying, the things that you hold them to for accountability's sake, for maturity's sake? What are some of the things that you leave as a leader and as a parent in the life of the people you impact? Welcome to Leading Leaders Podcast. 5-minute videos, 5 days a week. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast. There are a couple of words and phrases that I find are memorable enough, but they're like an umbrella. And by that I mean, once those phrases are kind of thrown out there, there's a whole lot that needs to be defined and described behind the phrase. Just using the phrase on its own is, well, it's like a naked umbrella. Imagine walking into a rainstorm with nothing but the stick, the handle. It'd be like having a walking cane held above your head in a rainstorm. Really all that is a really nice lightning rod, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to keep the rain off your head. In order for it to keep the rain off your head, the structure has to be filled with something. There has to be something around the little tines that come out of the top of the walking stick in order for it to actually protect you from the rain. And I find that a lot of times our instructions as leaders, as parents, are more like the walking stick. They're more like the cane. It's just a single point, and it's never filled in. There's nothing around it. So here's an example. There are a few things that I say to my boys that they've heard since they were 5 or 6 years old. And to this day, in their early 20s, sometimes they'll go out the door with a few friends with them, and I'll say one of 3 of these phrases, or all 3 of them, and by the time they're out the door, I can hear them re-explaining to their friends what that means. Now, what that means to me is that they not only heard it, they caught it, they understand all the principles behind it, and because they're able to articulate it to somebody else, they understand it well enough to live it out. That's a pretty big deal to me. That's important to me to know that the walking stick has all of the skin on to become an umbrella. So here's an example. One of the phrases that I use, and I think a lot of parents use this, or at least I hope they do, is I love you. Now the question for a lot of people is, what does that mean, I love you? Oh, we have a million implications and applications. As many as there are humans on earth, we have our own interpretations of what does it mean to say to someone else, I love you. Well, here's the reality though. Without the skin on, I love you can be as ambiguous as yes, we can, or make America great again. Those phrases mean something different to the hearer, maybe even mean something different to the hearer than they mean to the speaker. When I say I love you to my boys, I've spent 20 plus years of their lives investing in them relationally, conversationally, educationally, informatively, to be able to say I love you, and they know what that means. That means I'm not going to put up with any crap from you. It means I have high expectations for you. It means that I will be there for you no matter how bad you screw up. My love for you is unconditional and I'll always be there. But it doesn't mean I will accept your stupidity. It doesn't mean I will tolerate your disrespect. It doesn't mean that I'll allow you to be a fool without correction. Because I love you means I'm going to intercede in the quality of your life in everywhere that I have the right to. As a parent, I believe that's everywhere that I have the responsibility to. And that means it's not a walking stick, it's an umbrella. It's not just a phrase, it's a covering. Another phrase that I use on a regular basis with my boys is be honorable. Be honorable. Are you living a life that other people would honor you for? Is the life that other people witness in you something of honor? Do you honor the people around you? Do you honor yourself? Do you dishonor yourself? See, that's a tough set of questions, but there's also a life lesson that goes into that concept of honor. It's not just a phrase. It's not just a catchphrase or a cute phrase. There's meat on those bones. There's skin on that umbrella. It's not a walking stick. It's not a walking stick with tines. There's more to it than that. My challenge to you as leaders and as parents is don't just throw out the nice phrases. Don't just throw out the colloquialisms, the cliches. Make sure that the instruction that you give, the admonitions that you give, the encouragement that you give has some skin on it, has some meat on those bones, has more substance to it than an umbrella that looks like a walking stick, so that there's a covering for the people that you're admonishing, encouraging, so that the cliches actually have the power to transform a life. That's when your leadership, that's when your parenting, that's when your relationship with your spouse or your coworkers goes even further, when there's something behind the phrase that explains to them who you are, what you expect of them, how much you believe in them, and what they should do with the words that you're giving them. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day. Subscribe now for our extensive video library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom.